Hi, hello, welcome you all for this video. This video is going to give the enhancement and enrichment to you all. The video is based on the topic Intertextuality in Nadine Gordimer'S The Conservationist. Let me present my video and then keep watching and keep observing, and let's move to the video. Let me introduce myself. I am Dr. R.Vanmathi, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of English, Seethalakshmi Ramaswami College, Tiruchirappalli. The presentation will be based on the topic Intertextuality in Nadine Gordimer'S The Conservationist. As I said to you previously, let's know the intertextuality and its meaning. So intertextuality means it's one of the terms of postmodernism, and in the postmodern theory we may have a lot of terms. For example, pastorage, parody, allusion, intertextuality, heteroglossia, and then double voice discourse, polyphonic, and so many literary terms are introduced by so many theorists. Let's know who is Nadine Gordimer. So Nadine Gordimer is a white South African writer and the recipient of so many awards. Particularly, she is the recipient of the Nobel Prize Award. And she got Tried Black Memorial Prize, the Booker Prize, and the Grand Agile. And she is recognized as one of the most distinguished of contemporary novelists. Let's know when the Conservationist is published. The Conservationist published in 1974, which won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1991. Prize Gordimer is the most well-known novelist of South Africa. All the privileges and positions that South Africa could offer, but makes life tragic. This novel is recognized as her masterpiece. It also won the Booker Prize. So, Nadine Gordimer is a white South African writer and the recipient of the more awards. And one more thing should be mentioned especially, that is she is more passionate and she is the great performer in apartheid era. And let us have a glance of one more writer, Julia Kristeva. And she is a French writer and moreover semiotic literary writer, and she has introduced the term intertextuality. Let's know what is intertextuality. Just have a glance of this picture and then the exchange ideas, quotes, methodology from one text to another text. So it means it is the intertextuality in postmodern literature can be a reference or parallel to another literary work, an extended discussion of a work or adaptation of a style. In postmodern literature, this commonly manifests as reference to fairy tales or in reference to popular genres like detective fiction. So, if we have a chance to observe intertextuality in the novel, we could find out a lot of reference from the previous novels. So, writers, basically, they are the voracious readers. So, in that reading wise, they may have more experience and then they can recollect all the ideas and references from the previous text, because and all the ideas and everything will be stored in their subconscious level, and it will be referred while they are writing a novel or short stories. Three devices of the intertextuality. So, intertextuality will enter the novel through three devices. They are allusion, passage, parody. Allusion. Allusion means what? It's a reference of the quotation or any other novels or short stories or anything, and we could find out these kind of reference from these three major areas: historical, biblical, and cultural. Why not in literature also we could find out this kind of reference. Next we have to move on passage. Passage means collage of words or sentences. So words from the previous novels, and it will be referred in present novels. That's also called passage. So another name, it is referred nowadays. It's plagiarism, not at all. It is not at all taking the exact word from there, but meaning will be taken from some other text. And parody, that is also making fun. It is belonging to some cultures and tradition and everything will be taken from the previous bibliographical by biblical references, and something wise we could refer. And aim of the presentation should be known. A modest attempt has been made in this presentation to analyze intertextuality in the Conservationist of Nadine Gordimer. So I hope you're all having some ideas about intertextuality, and then its devices and its types and everything is known. How it is going to be applied in Nadine Gordimer's novel, The Conservationist. So Gordimer's writing, although emerging as it does from a specific political, economical, social and cultural experience, reaches out to the entire world and has a good deal of relevance to the post-apartheid situation in South Africa. So let's know what is the plot construction of The Conservationist. The Conservationist, considered to be Gordimer's foray into postmodernist fiction, the foreshadowing of the many voices, the conclusion of facts with the fantasies, its intertextuality, the unreliable or dislocated multiple narration mark this novel off from the previous ones. So Nadine Gordimer, she is recognized and she is differentiated, and her uniqueness is recognized by the readers through her writings. So multi-voices means we may have referred Bakhtin's theory, polyphony. The term is introduced by Mikhail Bakhtin, is a Russian theorist, and it means many voices. This formal presentation acquires significance in the story of a white industrialist, Mehring, who represent white dominion over a land inhabited by blacks, a land that becomes the subject of the novel. So basically a novel is having so many characters, and then the characters also going to give interesting incidents to the readers, but here the land is going to be one of the characters in this novel. In South Africa, after the Native Land Act of 1913, Africans were prevented from acquiring land outside their reserves. So the situation the novel presents must be read against this historical background of injustice. So as I said to you previously, intertextuality means the reference from the historical events and then reference from political activities is likewise. So intellectuality is apt, and then it's apt the reference for the novel. So let's know who is Mehring in this novel and what kind of role is played by him. The independence of Mozambique. So that is the situation in South Africa in 1974, also had a tremendous symbolic significance for South Africa. So this independence, it is not at all giving freedom to the black people, and a clash between white and rich, that is also vanished out. It is important to remember that Mehring is no great racist. So here the Mehring is a protagonist of the novel. He is not at all explaining, or he is not at all representing by the writer as a racist. And he is a rich man and he wants to occupy black people's land. That's all. So because of the tax purpose and something, he has decided to purchase the land. So the clash started between the black and white. He represents a capitalist sector in South Africa for which apartheid has been little more than an embarrassment. So in that century, particularly in the 20th century, so post-apartheid era, that era also called as post-apartheid era, there is no clash between black and white, but only the clash between rich and poor were identified. So, how intertextuality is performing in this novel? Let's know. That's also very much important because it will be more relevant to and most relevant to this topic. The main flaw seems to lie in the fact that Mehring fails to think of himself in specific historical terms and also to acknowledge his lack of a long mourning tradition. So Mehring, he needs reference because he doesn't know the language, how to communicate with the black people. Because and Zulu culture and Zulu mythology that was followed by the indigenous people that place. So Mehring felt very difficult to communicate with each and every one. So he needs some reference from previous culture and then he needs some reference from the previous writings and historical terms and something. So in that way intertextuality enters in that novel. So reference means what? Reference means and he starts to learn. So what kind of culture is this? Definitely reference is needed. So in that way and two kinds of culture is going to be mingled. White culture and then black culture. So Mehring's exploration and realization of what the land means to him is narrated mostly in the form of an inner monologue or imaginary dialogues in which it is difficult to determine who is speaking. Here, the author also performing as one of the characters and she wants to explore her intention through Mehring. So Mehring, and he is a white rich man, that adjectives also given here, and sometimes he is not able to communicate with the people means and he starts to speak with himself. Robert Browning is a father of the monologue in literature and we could find out so many references from that kind of monologue and here and particularly a Duchess of Malfi. That's a poem and that's a monologue written by Browning and then he has given more reference like that. So intertextuality performs a great role to understand the reality and what kind of characters they are. So new kind of reading could be realized by the readers. Inside his mind, there is frequently an obsessive debate with absent characters formulated occasionally in contracted forms, dislocated constructions and a constant use of unfinished or wordless sentences. So in this novel, as a reader could find out so many difficulties to understand the meaning because the writer, the characters and the speakers of the novel, they are also performing equally in a better sense. Okay, sometimes and constant and unfinished verbless sentences means and some sentences are not able to be completed by the character but it could be understood by the readers. So in this way, so intertextuality enters in this novel. So Mehring addresses his former mistress after she has fled the country in his thoughts. He addresses his absent son, who is first in Namibia, later in New York with his farmer's wife, whom he also addresses in this way. He addresses the former workers Jacobus when the latter is not there. All of these are addressed without name, simply as you. As a white man, he doesn't know how to call the name of the Indians and the black people and something. At the time, for avoiding that one, he wants to call everyone as you. This narrative technique is most adequate to the experience of the white man in South Africa. So because this is the reference, one of the references that is a reality. Here reality and then versus imagination could be identified. So intertextuality helps the readers to understand the situation of the present scenario, at the same time how the white people are living in this country and how they are addressing the black people. As we will also see in Burger's daughter, the protagonist impresses imaginary people. So most of the action takes place only inside their own minds, which shows their inability to act in the real world of South African, though for profoundly different reasons in each novel. So, and in this slide, I want to explain the story of Burger's daughter. So Burger's daughter, it is also written by Nadine Gordimer, and Nadine Gordimer, Burger's daughter, Rosa, is the main protagonist, and she is a wanderer, and she is having an opportunity to meet a number of people because she needs her own identity. She is searching for her identity, like a Mehring also searching for his identity. So here intertextuality, and both of the characters, and in the novel Conservationist-Mehring, in the novel Burger's daughter Rosa, and both of them are reflecting same ideas, same experience, and same difficulties, and everything will be same. So intertextuality will be identified in both of the novels. His name, Mehring. So let's know the detailed analysis on Mehring. And apparently Afrikaner is actually German, so he does not even belong to the tradition of African farmers. So here, anyway, he is belonging to that country, but he is not able to mingle with the farmers means because of the status clash. By denying even the self-protective comfort of a stable narrative angle of vision, Gordimer opens a revision of a South African history of land, property to new understanding. So, land. What is the importance of the land? Because everyone wants to have their own property. Why not to the black people? But black people are very poor in that country, but they want to be the owner of the land. And this will be understood by the reader while reading this novel. The constantly shifting focalization incorporates not only the thoughts and memories of his protagonist, but also the attitudes of a wide range of characters, blacks, whites, and Indians, and 4 generations of Indians also understood here. So anyway, in this novel, we could find out the 3 kinds of people. They are indigenous people, that means black people, whites, that is Afrikaner, and then Indians. So the 3 kinds of personalities are explaining in a different manner. So these characters also performing in some other novels. So intertextuality wise, the reader could understand the reality and intention of the writer in a well manner. The omniscient narrator, here the land is called as the omniscient narrator, focalizes through these other groups emphasizing the fact that all of them seem to have reasons to stay on the land. So the property. So property means, and everybody is also having more passionate on that because they may think it as their own identity. Mehring bought it for diversion. Furthermore, the perspective in the novel is ostensibly enriched by the epigraphs from a 19th century treatise on the religious belief of the Zulus that binds section of the text with the superbly recent commentary. Zulu mythology. It is also a highly sensitive one because that Zulu's mythology means it could give, and mythology wise all the black people saw treated themselves as the more precious creature. So in this Zulu culture wise we could understand the tradition and their living style and everything in South Africa. So in Zulu culture and Zulu methodology wise intertextuality will be identified in this novel. These in text from Zulu's mythological text suggest a native voice claiming property of the land. So here we could find out some pastage. That is also one of the devices which one used by the intertextuality. So here what is it, pastage and then parody is both of the terms are used to understand the meaning and then their suffering and everything, and black people suffering in this scenario, in this era. At the end, it seems as if Zulu myth had gained control of the narrative. Nonetheless, the novel does not present a revolution of black people in South Africa claiming their rights of property. So, and this novel, is it based on the black people suffering, or is it based on racism, or is it based on property, or it is based on something? So that will be understood by the intertextuality, that is the right of the people and right of the particularly black people will be understood. What Nadine Gordimer does in this novel is to articulate the different perspectives and narrative voices in such a way as to make the global perspective the viewpoint of history. So narrative technique is very much admired by the readers, and Nadine Gordimer's multiple voiced narration has also been criticized, providing wholly detached and pessimistic view of South Africa on the part of the author. But a close look into the story reveals a tone of optimism that stems from a belief in historical inevitability rather than from a present reality, because there is always a feeling that things will improve in time. So, narrative technique wise, Nadine Gordimer is recognized as a well-known writer. So let's know what the rights of the native. So as I said to you previously, so intertextuality helps the reader to understand the reality of the native people. So what will be the right? The ironical facts presented, such as the dead body as an action motivating force, the fragmented perspective reinforces the feeling that all the land will inevitably come to be owned by natives in the future, and they are an overwhelming majority, because all the people of this world are having passion to live in their own land. So that will be called as their own identity. Why not? Their rights also can be accepted. We can feel how Mehring, if not to blame personality for it, it is somehow but of place and going against a growing current of common sense in this crucial issue of the ownership of the land in South Africa. So this novel is not at all explaining the clash between the white and black. It is explaining the identity of the black people. So let's sum up everything in this conclusion part. The Conservationist is a challenging but thought-provoking novel. The stream of consciousness style, the lack of quotation marks, and the non-linear narrative make the book particularly challenging. However, the novel is full of metaphorical language alluding to petite land, colonialism, and the injustices of white oppression. The numerous references to eggs, nest, and nesting on motif that symbolize rebirth, the motherland, and the deep and natural relationship man has with his country of birth. So, this intertextuality performs a great role in this novel to understand a new dimension of reading, and then let's know what is the benefit of intertextuality. So intertextuality means, I already told you, that is the reference of places, quotations, ideas, and everything also we may take it. Which one is referred from the previous one, that is also called as intertextuality. So if we apply intertextuality in this novel, we may have an opportunity to know the rights of the black people, and then their sufferings, their passion, and their lifestyle, everything will be known. Thank you.